Hello, friends. So now again we are here to going live and talking about the residency and citizenship by investment, and particularly we're going to talk about the province of Saskatchewan in Canada. How to study, what to do it, if you are studying in Canada, whether it's beneficial or not. So let's look at the certain aspect of study abroad. As we are doing the continuously for 10 days, the each province of Canada we're going to cover on our live stream on YouTube, Ajmera Law Group. Once again, my name is Prashant Ajmera. I'm the founder of the Ajmera Law Group. We are active in the residency and citizenship by investment, visa, and other services since more than 25 years. Particularly, I started my practice with Canada Immigration, and now we are providing services for not only for but USA, UK, Australia, New Zealand, in different countries by having an associations with immigration lawyers, not agents and consultants. We are also connected with a lot of our top real estate developers and other professionals to provide services to the Indian businessmen, parents, children who wants to go and study abroad and settle, who wants to expand their business into foreign country, become a global citizen, and so on and so forth. So today we are going to talk about the province of Saskatchewan, which is the third province we are talking today. First one was British Columbia. Yesterday we talked about the Alberta. We're going to talk about the Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan is again on the west of Canada. It's a flat land. There is a lot of farming community is there. The two main cities of Saskatchewan are Regina, which is the capital, and Saskatchewan in 93, 94. There was not much populations in these states, but with the change in the recent immigration policies, there is a good populations of the Indian communities in these states and particularly in these two in these provinces. So let me look at the Saskatchewan's immigration programs and how it works, what you want to do and study about. So that I will give you a general idea about the uh, also, just like any other province, Saskatchewan has universities, Saskatchewan universities, and also they have colleges as well. So when you are going to study in like any other province in Canada, if you go to Saskatchewan, make sure that you know the distinctions between a university and a college. If you know the distinctions between college and university, then only you can realize it that uh, the immigrations for you to study in Saskatchewan can be an easy one. So just like if you study for 1 year or 2 years, it will give you a 1 year of work permit if you have 1 year of study. If you study for 2 years or more, then it can give you 3 years of study, and then it can convert into an immigration. That's the normal process. But how about getting a direct immigration, or if you are studying that? So many students, my advice to many students is that rather than going and studying into big cities like Vancouver and Toronto, and staying in Ontario, it might be a very good idea to go and study in Saskatchewan directly, because not many students are going directly to study to Saskatchewan. Most of the students are looking at the big cities like Toronto and our state of Ontario or British Columbia and Vancouver. But if you go to this one, the immigration policies in these provinces is much more easier than what you think. So let me just give you a brief outline about the different programs, what we have it, about the Saskatchewan studying. So if you are already studying in Saskatchewan, and if you obtain a job of experience in Saskatchewan related to your education, remember, related to your education, and if you have a 6 months of an experience, you can uh, very easily convert your immigration from student visa to immigration, which is very important aspect to look into it, because many students when they go, they do not realize it. So when you go to study in Saskatchewan, you should look at the Saskatchewan Labor Government Department website. where you can find out that what type of people are in short supply, and you should go and try to go and study those kind of a programs in Saskatchewan where you will not have a difficulties in finding a job and related to your education. And if you do not have a difficulties in finding a job related to your education, it will convert automatically into an immigration. So one of the category is the international skill work. This is about the student visas. Even if you are studying in other provinces, but of Canada, but if you come to Saskatchewan and obtain a work related to your educations, then on also Saskatchewan government is interested in giving you an immigrations. But remember, like any other province, if you have your relatives, like your brothers and sisters in other provinces, Saskatchewan government is not going to look at your applications very favorably. So when it comes to what kind of occupations are generally in demand in Saskatchewan, because the Saskatchewan is a farming communities, and also it is all connected with the oil industries up to an extent, not as large as Alberta. If you are into the skilled trades, mechanical engineers, diploma in mechanical engineering, the diesel mechanic, CNC machinist, repairing the heavy equipments and light mechanics, truck drivers, if you are into this kind of a field, I believe that there is a good opportunity in Saskatchewan to obtain an immigration. So rather than going and doing an MBA or general trades, many students or many people who are having a diploma in engineering in India or bachelor's degree in India, they should consider going to Saskatchewan and study these type of programs in their college and universities, and then try to obtain a work related to your education. Once you have finished your education after 1 year or 2 years, as you have lived in Saskatchewan, Saskatchewan government is very, very interested in giving you an immigration because they really have a hard time people coming to them. But when the students are coming there and working in Saskatchewan, studying in Saskatchewan, they are not studying the educations which they are, the kind of people they are looking at it. For example, there is not a very huge or a high demand of the IT professionals in Saskatchewan compared to Ontario or Montreal, Quebec, or British Columbia. So you should consider first what kind of people really their Saskatchewan government is looking into it. And only those kind of education you should start looking into it. Before even you go for a study, also try to find out where you can find a job related to your education, because it might be possible to find a job related to your education but not related to your education, but any kind of job you can find it. But the immigration in Saskatchewan is only possible when you go for a study, when you have the work experience related to your education. So you should have, when you are looking for a immigration after your study, you should have a job offer. You should have minimum 1 year of an experience or a 6 months of an experience depending on your occupation level. Means the occupation levels are O, A, B, C, and D. So in occupation level O and B, O, A, and B, you should have a 6 months of an experience. And if you are into the C categories, then you need to have another 6 more months. That means 1 year of an experience, and also you should show at least 4 band in IELTS. And overall, you should show that you are scoring 60 points out of 100 for immigration, your application to be approved. It is also possible that even if the students are going to the other province, other parts of the Canada, Saskatchewan government is having a hard time to attract the students to their provinces. So they have opened up another category that if you have studied in other provinces and if you come to work to into or Saskatchewan, if you have worked for 6 months, and after your 6 months of working in Saskatchewan, related to your educations, you can obtain an immigration as well. The another category which they have done it is particularly into the hospitality industries. That if you are working in a hospitality industry and obtain a job, based on that one also it is possible to obtain an immigration in Saskatchewan. Uh, so, in spite of this all these efforts, the Saskatchewan government is continuously having a problem in getting a certain type of people which are in short supply. So the Saskatchewan government has created another category which is known as occupation in demand. Occupation in demand means as per the Labor Department of Saskatchewan, certain occupations are in short supply in Saskatchewan. So even if you do not have a job offer, but if you are on the short supply list, then also you can obtain the immigration of Saskatchewan. Again, under that categories, you should be on that occupation list. You are not on a negative occupation list, obviously. Minimum you have a 1 year of an experience, but preferably 3 years. The IELTS requirement is very low, but as the more and more people are not qualifying for the express entry, they are applying for a Saskatchewan. So it's better to have a higher score in IELTS. Minimum 3 years of an experience you have it. And based on that one, if passing point is only 60 out of 100, but many of you, as you know, that for the Saskatchewan, the last draw was, I think, if I'm not mistaken, about 60 8 point was required out of 100 to obtain an immigration into Saskatchewan. Number three, when you want to obtain an immigration, then if you have already registered your application on the express entry, and if you are into the one of these demand list, you can make an application to the government of Saskatchewan online and show your expression of interest for settling into Saskatchewan. But remember, you should have a connection to the province. What do I mean by having a connection to the Saskatchewan? Because many people, those who are immigrating now or interested in immigrating, they might have their relatives and friends in other provinces like in Ontario, Quebec, British Columbia. So in the past, the Saskatchewan government has realized that these people, when they are applying to Saskatchewan for an immigration or student visas and after student visa to the work permit and work permit to ultimately to the immigration, once they obtain an immigration, these people do not stay in Saskatchewan. They will go and stay with their families where they are, probably in other provinces in Canada. And that's why the government has made it like a kind of a policy that if you are having uh, a relatives in other provinces, for example, your uh, brothers, sisters, your close relatives, if they are living in other provinces, then they consider it that you do not have a strong ties to Saskatchewan, that particular province, and you are not likely to stay in this province, and you will move to the other province, and your application can be rejected. Even we had a dealt with one case whereby the son was studying into Saskatchewan and father was applied for immigration of Manitoba, and then also the application was denied based on very simple reasons that you do not have a ties to the provinces. So it's very important to understand and see that how your application is being made. As more and more people are applying for the Saskatchewan immigrations, it is very important that when the application is submitted, the expression of interest and everything is submitted, it is submitted with the proper care and with all the correct informations. Most of the time, we are getting the applications for the Saskatchewan immigrations and Manitobas are rejected cases. And they are being rejected for a very, very minor or stupid reasons. That probably either the people has shown an experience which is not relevant, the job offer which was offered was person is not ready to do it, or they have ties in other countries. So in other provinces, and because of that, the help of a good immigration lawyer is always very helpful. From the express entry, also the government of Saskatchewan is going to look at your profile, and if you are on the demand list, you should show your expression of interest and show the Saskatchewan immigration as well. The other two categories, which is like categories they've made it and which is very, very short, in short supply in Saskatchewan, is particularly into the hospitality industry and hospital industry or a medical industry. So if you are getting a job offer in Saskatchewan, particularly working in subways, restaurants, counter people, then if you are working for a 6 months in that one after you finish your studies and if you get this kind of a job, then also it is possible to get your immigration into Saskatchewan. Based on this job offer and everything, after that you can obtain your immigration for Saskatchewan. Another new category which they have started is the international students business category, which is absolutely a new category Saskatchewan government has come up with. That many students, they were like mature students in the age of 25 and above or 30 and above, and they were having a difficulty in finding a job related to what they were doing. But they were in a position to probably start their own business or start their own services or something like that. So the Saskatchewan government has come up for the international students that if you come to Saskatchewan, if you study for 2 years and after your studies you may not be in a position to find a job related or what you would like to do it, but if you can show us a business plan that what kind of business you would like to establish in Saskatchewan, based on that one we will consider your application for an immigration. So you are a student, rather than looking for a job outside for a company in Saskatchewan, you can provide your plan, your business plan to Saskatchewan government and say that I'm going to start my this own business. It could be an IT company, IT support company, it could be a retail business, it could be a small manufacturing unit that having your own CNC machines and lathe working you are doing it, or starting your own business of diesel mechanics and repairing. Any kind of this businesses you can start after doing your study in Saskatchewan and then apply for an immigration if your business plan is approved. So this is I think this is one of the best category which the Saskatchewan government and now other provinces are also coming into is that you go to a study in Saskatchewan, study for 2 years, and after that start your own business. And once you start your own business, and if you run and manage this business for 2 years, it can convert into an immigration as well. So this is an international student business visa categories they have come up with, which is just started only last year. And the final category today I'm going to talk about is the business immigration to Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan has opened up the business immigration category for a long time for two category of people. One is the regular businessman, and other one is into the farming categories. For the for the regular businessman requirement is something like this. You should have half a million. That means about the 2.5 crores in an asset in India in your name and in your wife's name. That's number one. Number two, you should have a 2 to 3 years of an experience of running and managing a business. Number three, you should have visited Saskatchewan, make a business exploratory trip. Once you've made a business exploratory trip to Saskatchewan, then you must submit a business plan or an idea which you would like to do in Saskatchewan. So that by making an expression of interest AOI, you can register your applications and show it to the government that what is your background, what's your assets, what is your education, work experience, business experience, what assets you have it, and what kind of investment you can make it. The investment requirement is that you should invest $300,000 in Saskatchewan in a business if you are into the Regina or Saskatchewan city. And if you are outside these two areas or two cities, then investment amount is only 200,000 or about a 1 CR. Generally, our advice would be to all the client is that once you make an exploratory plan, keep all your documents and everything ready. Submit the file for an expression of interest where you do not need to submit any documents, but you just provide the information. to the Saskatchewan government on their online portal. Once you receive the approval of this online expression of interest applications, then generally you have a 60 or 90 days to submit all your documents and upload it on the file. You need a very detailed business plan. Obviously, you need your documents to be approved by the not only Indian chartered accountants, by the Canadian chartered accountant, which is approved by the government of Saskatchewan. And then after 60 or 90 days, once the document is submitted, it takes anything between 6 to 8 months period of time to Saskatchewan government to come back and get your file approval. Once the new file is getting approved, you can apply for your business work permit, or we can call it a temporary PR of Canada. You come to Saskatchewan, run and manage your business for 2 years. Then you get your third approval or a final approval, and then you apply for your immigration for your uh, wife and children under the age of 22. When you are going on a temporary visa to Saskatchewan to start your business, you can go with your wife and children as well. And their age is locked in the day on which you have made an application, original application to the Saskatchewan government. Total processing time can take anything between 2 to 3 months to 6 to 7 months. But once you are in Canada, and if you run and manage this business on your own and involve into the management and day-to-day affairs of this business, you can obtain the approval from the Saskatchewan government without any problems. The two important aspects when you make a business immigration applications, that it is not just about making an investment of 1 crore rupees. That is not a big amount of money, but they always like to see that you are trying to do a business related to your background back home in India. That's number one. And number two, you are making an investment into a business for which you have done a detailed market research, study, business plan. You have understood the rules and regulations related to doing that business. What are the rules and regulations related to the labor law? What are the rules and regulations related to the taxation? What are the rules and regulations related to the license and permits in Saskatchewan? All these things are very, very important to learn before you go for your interview, when you are called for an interview. Because not only Saskatchewan government, but every province believes that if an SME businessman who's coming with the capital of 200, 300,000 or half a million investment, and if they have not done this kind of an exercise, if they are not provided a detailed business plan, if they are not aware of the rules and regulations of doing business in our state or in our country in Canada, they do not consider you as a serious businessman. Number of people are trying to apply for business categories, immigration to Canada, under these categories through the agents and consultants and the lawyers, and they think that okay, it's a $200,000 investment. I have a 4 or 5 crore rupees. I'll make an investment and I'll do it. But they are not serious about doing business in Canada. Many of the clients come to us, they get an initial consultations, then they try to get a visitor visa, and just to save the money from our fees or immigration lawyer fees and other things, they will make a business exploratory trip or a visitor visas and they go to Canada and trying to do something cheap by working with their friends and relatives in Saskatchewan or in Canada. In 99% of the times, those cases are rejected. Because when you try to do business with your friends and relatives, the government know that this is only a fix-up. This is just being cooked up to get an immigration for you. This is not a serious businessman. I have never seen an application whereby if you try to do business with your friends and relatives in Canada, who will show your name in the business and books of accounts and so on and so forth, that can approve. Very rarely this application gets approved when you show that you are really, really serious businessman. So the Canadian government is very, very welcoming to the small and medium-sized enterprise, but only those ones who are serious about doing the business. Those who are just interested in coming to Canada, getting an immigration and show it to the people that now I got a PR of Canada. The government of Canada or any of the province is not interested in bringing this businessmen to Canada. And that's why we see a high rate of rejections. A lot of agents and consultants advertise 50 lakh rupees and you get an immigration of British Columbia, and 75 lakh rupees and you get an immigration of Manitoba and this and that and so on and so forth. And most of the people visualize it or think in a way that just I pay this 50 lakh rupees or 75 lakh rupees and I'm going to get an immigration to Canada. They are big mistake, because I've been handling the business immigration applications to Canada since last 25 years. I have done hundreds and hundreds of applications. I have traveled with this businessman, did an exploratory business trip. And it is, believe me, it's one of the difficult application to do it. We have to do a lot of document preparations. We have to do the detailed business plan. And at the end, I have to spend personally number of hours, not 1 hour, 2 hours, number of hours with the businessmen to train them for the business category. So unless and until you have a really good professional advice from a good immigration lawyers and other professionals, the that is the only key to make an application successful for Canada. Already today I have taken 25 minutes of your time. So tomorrow we're going to talk about the Manitoba immigration program and business immigration program. So do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channels, ajmeralaw.com/live, or you can go to our YouTube channel directly, youtube.com/Ajmera Law Group, and other social medias are there. Please also make a comment on our social medias or on a YouTube channel. Also, you can send your inquiries, and if you have any problems, more than happy to answer those ones in our future sessions coming to us. One of the examples I give you about the business categories before I finished is uh, about the businessman who was working in a construction industry in Ahmedabad. He went to Saskatchewan because his friend was there, and then they tried to do a subway business. When they went for doing the subway business there, and when they put up the plan before the government, they said, "Well, what experience do you have of running and managing subway restaurants in India?" And the gentleman says, "No." So who is going to run it? My friend is going to run it, and gradually I will learn. Obviously, their application was rejected. They came to me and said, "What we can do?" Also, many people, what they are making mistake is that when they are planning for a business immigration to Canada, they will go to the travel agents, take a visitor visa, and go to Canada, do their own exploratory trip, and then they come back to us and they say, "Well, now we are interested in applying for an immigration." It creates the two problems. One is that they've made this trip for a pleasure purpose, nothing to do with business officially, what is required by the business immigration. That's number one. Number two, you already presented all your right or wrong facts in your visitor visa application to the government of Canada. So we cannot present in a different way. We're not talking about the changing or amending or making a different interpretations, but we are not in a position to present these facts in a better manner or professional manners, so it doesn't create a problem. Like just last month, one client came to us and they took a one visitor visa. They went to British Columbia. Once they got to British Columbia, they came back. They decided that now they want to go under the owner operated. So they made their contact a lawyer or some agents in British Columbia. They went back. They applied for an owner operated category. When they applied for an owner operated categories, at the border, the officer asked the wife, because wife was a principal applicant, that when you make your application for visitor visa in Canada, you mention that you are a housewife. And now you are telling us here that you're going to run and manage the business. So we see there is a discrepancies between these two. And sorry, we cannot give you a visa. That application was denied. and they were given a 1 month's time for them to leave the Canada with all their belongings and everything. So these are the very, very minor things which we have to keep it in mind, that if you do a planning for the business immigration to Canada, keep it in mind that do a long-term planning. Don't take it that, okay, I'll go to Canada visitors and I'll figure it out myself. Thank you very much, guys. It's already at 30 minutes. I have taken your time. I'll see you tomorrow with the Manitoba study and settlements and business immigration of about Manitoba. Thank you. Bye bye.